Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having us. My name is August. I've been with VisionFlex for nearly a couple of years now, and we've also I look after sales and strategic relationships, and then we've got Daniel and Abe on the call as well. They both look after all of our customer service and training and support and so on. So they'll be the ones that will help to make sure that we get the carts up and running, and it's a sort of successful implementation. Very, very good at what they do. But I guess I just wanted to, I mean, I know everyone here's on the call because you guys know the benefits of telehealth and what it does. But I think for what I wanted to mention was just it's really important to get the carts up and running and to really have a successful launch, is that everyone keeps reminding themselves of that. So, something we often have to explain to the doctors, that it's going to increase the amount of consultations they can do, save them time, save them money. And it's also going to massively increase the quality of care for the people, for the residents as well. It means they don't have to travel. They don't have to, they can get far more regular examinations that are more in-depth and a sort of better quality of care. They don't have to have the risk of traveling to hospitals and COVID and all those kind of risks as well. And I think that reminding people that it will enable their loved ones to be with them on the calls or for the consultations or examinations as well. And just that message has to be hit home a lot, because to get the carts, or what we're trying to do to work, there's a huge element of change there, and a very difficult change to get both the staff, the on hand, the end users, also the residents and the doctors, everyone on board. And change is difficult. It's hard. It's not easy at all, but it is for the greater good for everybody involved. And just because obviously the easy thing to do is to always just go, well, we'll go back to what we know. We'll leave it aside, and we'll just do the same old thing. But we'll never get the desired end result with that. So constantly reminding ourselves why we're looking at implementing telehealth, even though we all know why. But that was the first thing, I guess, for me, I've noticed is really important. Also, I think that yes.
Sorry, 2 seconds. I think there's two people on the line that I'm not sure about what you're talking about. So just a quick 5-second for those that aren't aware. So NQPHN did a audit of all the RACH facilities, and in the end, basically, long story short, we've come up and we have a grant where we are rolling out telehealth carts to all RACH facilities, and these are the lovely people that are going to implement them in the facility. So just that, very brief overview. There's one or two people that are not aware of what your purpose is. So I hope that clarifies to those few people, just to put it into context.
Right, back to the absolute step one basics.
Yeah, sorry, just the basic step, only because there's one or two that you don't know. Sorry. That's
No, that's great. Thanks. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that. Yeah, so no. Yeah, we've been putting sending these carts into aged care facilities all across Australia, also into mines, oil rigs, correctional facilities, and then rural communities, all across the country, and also even globally now. And yeah, the idea is just to bring healthcare and remote examinations to people who otherwise would struggle to have access to the kind of healthcare, or people who are at risk, again, like the elderly, if they're going to move them to hospitals, or going to have to put them on hold for getting a very important checkup because maybe the doctor's not available or can't pay a visit, or whatever. Just trying to minimize that and enable them to get these full examinations from in the aged care facility. Yeah, I mean, with the equipment that we have, we can do things like even an ultrasound over a call like this, or an ECG reading over a call like this, or listen to their heart and lungs via a stethoscope. So the power of the tech is quite incredible, but it just have to get people on board and used to using it to get the real benefits. But I think the only other thing,
August,
yeah, go on.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, Daniel's got a cart there behind him, one of the laptop carts in the room as well. I don't know if you want to drag the laptop cart over, Daniel, just so people can get an idea of physically what it is. Yeah, it's a nice medical cart with a laptop on it and a bunch of cameras and for medical devices, and you can use it to connect, as August was saying, over a video call to a specialist or a doctor. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a good, you can see them there. They quite look like little robots. Very effective. But I mean, I'll pass over to Daniel and to Abe to explain, I guess, what they do and how they do it. I just the final thing I wanted to say from my point of view, it's really important that when we launch them, that for the training for Daniel and for Abe to have the success really work of the launch, is that we get everybody on board. So whether that be in the IT department to make sure that if they need to do any re-imaging or anything like that, that they've done it, or that the Wi-Fi is up to speed, or that the doctors are there for training so they know what they're going to be using, and this is how they can maybe conduct their examinations rather than having to physically come in, or the management as well on board, so they can pay attention to making sure that the whole staff are learning how to use these things. And that it's something that we're constantly, that we have as many people on board with the training as possible, so that everyone can really get used to using it. I think those things from what I've seen is what makes a big difference to whether these carts come into the homes and are something that is part of an integral day-to-day workflow, and really changes the game, or whether or not it becomes an expensive ornament sitting in the side. And I guess, it's like a gym membership. They can change your life if you actually go and use it and have a personal trainer to show you how to use it, which is Abe and Daniel here. Or if you just have a membership and don't go, it's not going to do much for you. So that was it. But I mean, yeah, Daniel, I'll pass over to you so you can show actually what these carts are and what they can do. And then if people have got questions, or Abe, they'll be the best people to ask, I guess.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I'll jump in. Could whoever's in control, please get you to maximize the screen? So I'll do a quick demo of my screen so I can sort of show you on this card here. The important piece of the puzzle is the patient-facing monitor, because that's what the resident's going to be looking at. So with the laptop cards, they've got a nice big patient-facing monitor, and I'll show you how that works in a second. But so that's what I'm doing on this one at the moment, just to make it easier for you guys to see what's happening on this screen here. So can we make me like full screen on the chat?
Yeah, you're big now.
I'm big now, great.
Yeah,
Good.
I've spotlighted you.
Wonderful.
So
I'll run through it quickly. There's a lot to go through, so I'll just sort of walk you from the beginning to the end of what a session might look like. But obviously the carts have got everything on there. It's all pretty self-explanatory, the wheels and the drawers and the keyboard, and there's a USB hub over the back here you plug some of the devices into. But the first important piece of the puzzle is our website. So we get everyone to log into the session here. Just jump in, and then you can create meetings for the future, or you can jump straight into a virtual room like this, so essentially like we are now. So when that kicks in, so that camera now is looking at me here. I make sure that the speaker's set up so I can hear the participants. I can then jump into here, and I could then add a guest and just send an email link. The doctor gets it, they click it, they're straight into the room. It's as fast as that and as easy as that. We won't need to do that today.
Yeah. The doctor doesn't need anything on their end, which is great. So, some of these doctors are a bit resistant to change. So fortunately, they can just click a link on anything with a web browser, and they can join in. And as Daniel's sort of pointing out, it's all designed to be nurse-led. So you've got your somebody there with a bit of medical training, a nurse practitioner, and they're driving all of this.
So the next piece of the puzzle is we'd want to bring in that second camera, and that's going to allow the remote doctor to be able to actually remote this around. So we can have a look at our patient over here. You can see the camera just moved and is zoomed in on the patient over there. The camera can move all around the room, zoom in and out. So it's a really important piece of the puzzle, that camera. The other important thing, as I mentioned before, is you want to get the doctor's face on the patient-facing screen. So normally in a session, the resident, for example, that one, would be looking at this screen, and then that camera can maneuver to look at the patient or the resident. So you just click this button here, second monitor, and I'm about to appear up on here now. So that's that screen coming up now. So I would be on there if you could sort of see me. Doesn't really work well in this type of a setup, but all's well. The next important piece of the puzzle is the software, which allows us to bring up all of these devices and use it. So it's a simple click on our little exam view down here, and that's bringing this software into the virtual telehealth session. So the remote doctor can see it, and you can see it here as well. So you can either load up a new patient, or we can, after some patients have been put in, you can go and open them, have a look at them. But let's say we just jump straight into an exam mode. And here we can start seeing some of the things that we can take observations, and I'll just maximize that. So let's start with the camera. This is our general imaging camera. It's a bit of the rock star of the whole show. It does some really great things. We click onto that. There we go. This has popped up now. So you can zoom around and look at all sorts of different things. A little auto focuses straight in. Where it shines though is up close. So with some of these attachments, I'm just putting this one on now. We can put that straight onto my arm there. And you can see how powerful that image is there. So Abe's an expert at doing this one-handed. I'll do my leg just a second. There we go. I'll just take a picture of my leg there.
There's a few different images.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. And there's a few different imaging devices like this. So you've got your, this is a multi-purpose camera. It'll do wounds, it'll do dermatology, intraoral, but you can also get otoscopes and dental cameras and ophthalmoscope, you name it.
Yeah. So that's a little example of that. So we're in there now. We jump out to the main screen. You can see I took a couple of images, captured the reading, and they're both up now in our gallery. So we're going to fill that gallery up with observations of all sorts of different types, and the doctor can obviously lead this and tell the nurse practitioner what they want to look at for different patients. So, for example, let's do a blood pressure reading really quickly. And at the same time, we can do the pulse oximeter, thermometer, and it's all Bluetooth, so it all just kicks in automatically. So no cable. So I put the blood pressure. Hit the button.
Sorry, Daniel. I'll just. What I've seen work really well is the doctor at this point of the consultation, the doctor's probably having a chat with the resident. Meanwhile, the nurse who's beside the resident is taking all of the obs, and as you can see, they're popping up on the screen there, and so it's not interrupting the flow of the interaction between the remote doctor and the patient. The remote doctor then can write those details down into their patient management system. Or as Daniel's about to show, we can send them a PDF report with everything in there. But it's just about smoothing it all over and not having to double enter information and capturing everything that you need.
So here we got the temperatures come up, we got the pulses come up. Always just hit capture reading, and that puts everything up in the gallery, as Abe said. We're going to get a report right out of this at the end. Blood pressure is about to happen. You can also, if you don't get scales, you can just press these little pencils. You can add in a weight, whatever you want to put in. And that's going to capture that as well. Blood pressure is doing its thing. Because I'm moving around.
The good thing about that second monitor as well is the resident doesn't need to be seeing that front screen with all this medical information on it and multiple participants in the call. They might be a little bit confused or overwhelmed. And so just having that single screen creates this really intimate connection between the doctor and the patient, and they can just focus on that. Meanwhile, the nurse has all of that information at their fingertips there. So yeah, it's just more flexible.
Good stuff. So the blood pressure's had a moment. I think that needs to be paired up. That was what I promised you, that'll kick in. So here's some examples of what we've done. When you jump into the gallery, there's the pulse oxy, there's the weight. You can remove things out of the report that you don't want. So we've doubled up on a pulse oximeter reading, so you just get that out. That's not the clearest picture of my eye, but you can take multiple pictures and just delete out the ones you don't want. But in the sake of just sort of quickly showing you how it all works, as I said, you could load up patients in here. or you can go back and set up a new patient. Let's just choose me for now, and you save the session. So there I am, male, my age, profile. You put notes in here about the patient if you want to. And here's the session we've just done. There's one I did earlier. So we can actually click both of those and compare the session you've done in the past, or you can just have a look at the session you've done now. But just to show you that you can multiply them up, export to PDF. And we just save that somewhere on the computer. And there we are.
Now, don't get too overwhelmed with this. It seems like there's a lot to it because Daniel's using every feature. But in reality, you know, the things that you're going to be doing are relatively straightforward. And also there's a good amount of training information as well. So on the desktop, there's a cheat sheet that they can refer to step by step, how to do an examination, use a video call, etc. And we do training sessions. So we'll do a training session initially with the team and get everybody comfortable. And then a little bit further on, once you've had a bit of a time to use it, we'll do a more advanced in-depth training. But Daniel and I are sort of here with you as your partners to make sure that, as August said, a good analogy, you know, like personal trainers, we'll be there with you on the journey to make sure that it gets used.
Yeah. So another important piece of the puzzle Abe and I and August have found along the way is, as was touched on, getting your IT involved early on. So they might want to re-image the computer. If they do, that's fine. We'll help them understand what needs to be reinstalled back onto it. They also need to be aware of, we have a remote control agent we install on the computer. So the first training runs, Abe and I can just take control of the whole cart and just walk people through it from beginning to end, make the trainings and the demos really simple for them. So that obviously needs to be unlocked so that can happen. There's been a few hurdles in a few sessions when that hasn't been, the computers are so locked down, which is important, but obviously, you know, we need to be able to do the training. And the last thing is to, you know, the patient.
Sorry, here we go.
Right. Yeah, patient management system and the ability for profiles to be installed in the computer. So if the users have the ability to use like iCare or eCase or whatever you're using, and it's on this computer, and they can also log into their email and do their normal day-to-day stuff, it's a massive plus for them to want to use the cart because it's not just for telehealth. So that's another important piece of the puzzle. So, yeah. I am rushing through this, but I'm just trying to get the information across. So I hope that sort of cracks the ice for everybody, a bit of an idea what it looks like.
I might just jump in there now and see if any of the managers have any questions at this point.
Hi, Danica. It's Heather and Mount Louisa. We actually went through the training last week with Abe.
Lovely.
Just so everyone knows, we've actually used the cart to do a teleconference with a geriatrician. Our GPs have started using it, and our nurse practitioner, she links in with the fit team at TUH. So from our perspective, it's been a really good asset.
Great.
That's nice to hear.
That's wonderful to hear. Yep, great.
Heather, how have you gone with as we've discussed there with the getting it into the Wi-Fi networks and all that sort of stuff? Has your experience there still been a bit of a challenge, or?
Well, Blue Care aren't the easiest when it comes to IT. We're a bit challenged in that department. But yeah, we are making headway, slowly but surely. We've had people on site doing an audit to see if our Wi-Fi can hold it. So we've got other issues with our Wi-Fi apart from just the cart. So we're just using our Nighthawk in the meantime for that extra boost. But the GP actually took it on their rounds with them because they can teleconference in with family that aren't actually local.
Did anyone do that on the rounds over the last few days or anything like that, or?
Dr. Castaneda, she used it yesterday.
That's great news.
Something there as well, if you do get really stuck with the Wi-Fi, we can, fortunately now across all of Australia, there's Starlink is available, and we can supply that with the carts. So if ever there's someone that feels that what they have isn't strong enough, then we can arrange to get them Starlink, and you know that's more than strong enough, and makes a really big difference. And yeah, ultimately, ideally, what we'd love to get to is whereby the doctors don't physically need to come to the sites anymore, and residents never need to go to the hospital unless they really need something done. But this will eliminate all of that bit in between, which means everyone can stay comfortable in their safe environments, which is hopefully where we'd like to get to eventually. But yeah, I'd say if you do have a roadblock, so if you do have a roadblock like Wi-Fi or training or support, anything like that that's just making people slightly scared of using it, just don't hesitate to reach out. Get me, get Abe, get Daniel. Like, they're always there to help, and we can fix problems usually very quickly, and they're very responsive. So.
No, but we all really enjoyed the education. It really helped.
Perfect.
Oh, great. That's lovely to hear, Heather. No, fantastic. And I mean, as August was saying, it's all about promoting from the top. So that starts with, with leadership, with the people on this call, that this isn't, we're not, the idea isn't to replace existing models of care with, ones that are less effective or are less personal, but rather to sort of augment what you're already doing. So, for example, we had a great case where this one facility had a GP that was a little hesitant to do telehealth, and they ended up setting the GP up just in anticipation if they might need it. When a COVID outbreak happened, the GP was already ready to go, knew how to use it, and was doing what they were doing over telehealth through the COVID lockdown. And then after that, they adopted a hybrid model. So the GP was still coming in, but doing the majority of their rounds over the system, and that just means that more residents can get more access to care. So that idea of a hybrid model is really kind of the best approach, I think. Depends on the facility.
I'll make one last point. One of the things we've noticed over the last several months of doing the demos around the country is getting GPs interested to be using it remotely. But from a management perspective, from all your guys' perspective, to start taking note of GPs who are excited about doing it. And you might be able to share some specialists and GPs around all of you, people who are actually keen to jump on. And hopefully that will help build the momentum for more doctors and more specialists to get excited about it and to understand that it actually works and it's good. So that's something that's been pretty positive, we've heard.
Great. Any other Winston? Plus, we've got Mary, Feston. Any questions?
No questions, but Kieran sent the email a while ago to say we should be expecting our cart next week. So I'm very excited now I've seen it.
Yeah, no questions from me because we haven't started using the system, but once we start using the system, we might have more questions.
Wonderful.
So at this stage, Ed, have your IT have a look at it, make sure it can get online. If they want to re-image it, get them to get in touch with us and we'll make sure we guide them on what to reinstall onto it. And then, yeah, have a bit of a look at the training videos we've sent in the documentation. They'll really break the ice. It's essentially what we've done today. Go here, click here, it does this. And then we're, Abe and I, are ready and waiting to do more in-depth training as required.
I wasn't going to ask this question, but Maria's put it in the chat. She was curious, do you have you've mentioned about connection with Starlink. Do you have an idea of associated costs on that?
It's a you question, August.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking for the button. Yeah, it does vary, but they're around $1,200 a year for the Starlink.
And do you know what the ongoing? Sorry.
Yeah, that's the ongoing. They per year to get it set up, and then sometimes they have deals where there's a free install. Sometimes you have to pay for it. They have different promotions going on, but it does. I know also from working with them a bit now, that makes a difference as well if you do like whether that be enterprise or singular. So if it's for one location or for multiple, can also make a difference. But that's about the average. I actually use Starlink here as well, and that was the cost to set it up over here. I'm in on the Sunshine Coast.
Sunshine Coast.
Yep.
Yeah, it always rains on the Sunshine Coast. But yeah.
Abe and I did a demo several months ago for a paired site. They're about 50 kilometres away from each other, and one had Starlink and one didn't. And the difference in the remote area was just incredible. So, if you can get it, massively improve the situation.
Thank you for that. Appreciate your time today. That was great.